So, when's the last time your bank took you on vacay? We hear you. That's why ATB is giving away up to $45,000 every month. And all you have to do is make deposits. Because we hear you want to do amazing things with your life. Like gaze at the Great Pyramids, bathe in the Blue Lagoon, walk the Great Wall. You get the idea. Just imagine where you could deposit yourself with ATB. Details at atb.com/deposit.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, divas out there. My name is Candace Gish, and I'm the host of the Divas That Care Network. I'm so excited that each and every one of you has tuned in today for our show. We have a great one. We have a brand new, amazing lady we're going to be introducing to our diva family, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a hoot today on our show today. I just know it. For any of you that have just tuned in today, what we are is that we are a variety of now 10 hosts, and what we do is that we interview women who are working to make the world a better place in so many different categories and so many different ways, and we're just so excited that you have tuned into us. And if you see our hashtag out there, our hashtag is Divas That Care, so make sure that when you see that, check out what we're doing. All right, so let's get started. Wow, I'm really excited about this show. It's going to be fun, as I was mentioning. My guest today is Jean Brannon. And I hope I said that right, Jean. And I'm excited that you're going to be talking today. Oh, that's great. Well, Jean, I'm just so excited to welcome you to our show today. It's just going to be so much fun.
Hi, Candace. Thank you so much. I'm just so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Well, Jean, would you, because you are brand to our program and our divas haven't had a chance to get to know you, could you spend a couple of minutes sharing a little about yourself so we can get to know you better?
So, well, I'm basically an author and an acupuncturist, and both of those journeys kind of weave together for me. So I find whether I'm performing acupuncture for somebody in the treatment room or if I'm working on a blog post or working on a novel, what I'm trying to do is really just hold this energy of being a mirror for people to reflect to them just how wonderful and powerful and magnificent they are. And so I have found that for me personally, Chinese medicine has been a path to give me information and tools that I can then share through my writing. And for me, that particular journey just really, really feels right.
How did you get involved in that? Like, that is, a lot of people, you know, I've obviously heard of Chinese medicine, but it's probably not a lot that people will go through. How did you get involved and not do the traditional medicine?
Well, it's interesting because I used to be in the corporate world, and I was trained in advertising, and I used to work as an advertising copywriter. And so, you know, I was carrying a briefcase, I was wearing heels, I was, you know, commuting and kind of doing the big city job thing, and I got back pain. And so, interestingly enough, someone that I worked with said, hey, why don't you try acupuncture? Because that person had found that it had been very helpful for body pain. So I made an appointment, went to see an acupuncturist, got incredible results very quickly, and I said to myself at the time, wow, this would be a great second career. But at the time I was just so involved in, you know, I'd already been to school and I'd already committed and moved and done all of these things, and I had set up a life for myself that was around this corporate identity that I had. And it actually took me a while to really say, you know what, I don't think this is really fully serving my heart. And the more I went along that journey, the less important it felt. And I started thinking, you know, I really want to feel fulfilled with what I do. I want to get up in the morning. I want to be able to help people. I want to be lit up as I move through my day. And for me, the corporate world just wasn't that kind of a fit. And so I went back to school. I never forgot the amazing results that I had gotten from acupuncture. And it was just an amazing environment, too. You know, I was in this very softly lit room, and it was relaxing music playing, and there were essential oils, and it was just, everything about it was just nurturing and healing. And so it took me a while to commit and find a school and go through the training and everything. But once I was on that journey, it actually became more of a lifestyle as opposed to just, hey, this is how I make a living. And I think a lot of people that follow the Oriental medicine pathway, they really come to just embrace these principles. And that's really how I live my life. I do my best, to really embody everything that I talk to people about in the treatment room, and all of the suggestions about exercise or nutrition or meditation. I really embrace all of those things because I want to be an authentic example when I show up in the treatment room. And so for me, I've been out of school for a little over 10 years, and every day it still lights me up to be involved in this medicine. So I'm just deeply, deeply grateful to have had this experience and to be able to share it with people.
I love that. And I love that it was such a drastic change. It's something that it kind of hits you. And I hear that a lot from the divas that come on the show. It's just something all of a sudden grabs their attention, grabs at their heartstrings, and they find that was their purpose and what they were supposed to do. They're, sometimes they shake their head. They're like, what? What is this? And, and I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, what? Is this what I thought? No. But it just kind of hits you almost like, over the head. It's like, okay, this is where you're supposed to be. And it's beautiful because your story is so empowering. And to see now what you've done and on this journey of, really fulfillment in so many ways. And I love this. You and I were talking a little bit about, before the show, we were talking about, your aha moment. And I was giggling because I really love this story, and I was hoping that you could share it with us today.
Well, so I've always been this natural cheerleader and a Pollyanna. And so as a writer and as an acupuncturist, I still see myself in this role as a Samwise Gamgee to someone else's Frodo from Lord of the Rings. Because on some level, we're all still bearing a ring on some sort of impossible task to Mordor. And so for me, that just says so much. If you meet somebody who's never, you don't know them, you don't know anything about them, but if you can just sink into your compassion and say, I don't really know what task this person is bearing, but this person is in all likelihood going through something where they could use my compassion, where they could use my understanding and my support and my ability to just hold space for them so they can feel supported and empowered. And so this particular journey, as I've kind of assigned myself the role of playing Sam, when I'm with anybody, it doesn't matter. It can be in the treatment room. It can be at the grocery store. It can be when I'm working with a blog post or if people write in questions or things like that. Or yesterday we had a book release party for Atlantis Writhing. And so, what I find is that people forget who they really are. And that tends to happen for most of us before we're 5 years old. And so what I often try to remind people, when we're babies and toddlers, we really know all of the things that we need to know to live a self-fulfilled and self-empowered life. We know how to deep breathe. We live in the moment. We're all about fun. If it's not ecstatically fun, a toddler lets you know that, right? But also if something doesn't quite go a toddler's way, they might get really upset for a couple of moments, and then what? What do? They forget about it, and they move on. And they're then in the very next moment. And so if we can remember what that is, that's, to me, the ticket to finding and remembering who we are. We have to really reconnect to our joy. And sometimes that's about going through a period, maybe even what some people experience as a dark night of the soul, And if you think about Lord of the Rings, what a journey it is to Mordor. And at any given moment, they could have turned around. And if you take any single element out of that tale, what happens? There are so many elements of nature that are involved in that story. There's water, there are horses, there are trees. Everything comes together. People and beings of all walks of life come together, and it really takes a community of everyone to really create the change that's beneficial for all. And I really think that that's really what we're here to do. This is not a solo act. And so that's what I try to do, with whether it's writing, whether it's working with someone in the treatment room. I just want people to understand and remember, we're all in this together. And the more that we can be open and generous and offering of our time and our talents, and really sinking back into that deepest essence of ourselves before we were ever wounded or before we ever took no to heart, when we were automatically lit up and when we were joyful and just spontaneous about whatever life was presenting to us. That's what I want to help people remember.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love that. It is. And you know what? And your journey has been one of quite extraordinary. It's almost like a circular motion, because now you've also wrote a book. And you just mentioned it. It launched yesterday. You had a launching party. But I want to kind of talk about this, because this is something that you were working on for quite a while. And can you share with our divas today a little bit about this book, and tell us what it's about and how they can get a hold of it?
Well, so this book, first of all, I've wanted to write since I was in the 11th grade in high school. And my English teacher, Mrs. Gwynn, really, inspired me. We were reading all of this classical literature. The first time I was introduced to Lord of the Rings, we read The Hobbit, and that just, led to my whole world expanding and opening up. And Jane Eyre was another early influence in that class. And I thought, I just love visionary fiction. I love romance. I love these epic tales where it's all about the hero's journey. And I thought, one day I really would, right? And so to me, that absolutely lit me up from the time I was 16 years old. But I never felt like I really had anything to say. And I wanted something to say that I felt like I could believe in, that was on some kind of level for myself of the Lord of the Rings. I wanted to have a message. I didn't want to just write something and just sell books. That just felt so empty to me. And so I think what ultimately had to happen in my particular journey, I think I had to find Oriental medicine and really embrace that as a career and a lifestyle in order to learn certain tools and be immersed in certain ancient wisdom so that could kind of percolate to the top and make me feel like, within the context of a hero's journey, which is what I really wanted to portray with writing, I wanted to be able to plug in elements of the deep wisdom that I felt like I had been, immersed in through my training. And so after I got my master's in Oriental medicine, that was in 2008, and I opened a private practice. And I was in partnership with my beloved life partner, and he was a Reiki master named Greg Hagan, and we lived in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And then, we practiced there for a couple of years, and then we moved to a farm in Athens, Georgia in 2011. And then we opened a joint holistic healing practice downtown in Athens. And then Greg passed away unexpectedly in 2013. And at that point, for me, it was a complete wake-up call. I felt like I needed to just reevaluate everything. It was a period in my life where I felt like I needed to reclaim, quote-unquote, my life, as opposed to what had been, quote-unquote, our life that we'd created together. And losing someone that was just so dear to me really made me feel like I needed to ensure that every single moment in life counted. And so it was interesting because just the week before he died, we had sat down and we created this list of things that we had wanted to accomplish in 2013. And right at the top of my list was completing a first novel. So we had talked about it. It was in the plans. and then he passed away. And so 2 days after his memorial service, I sat down at the computer, and I just made a decision that I was going to write. And I mean, really write. It didn't matter how bad the words sounded. It didn't matter how much I didn't feel like it. I really made a commitment to myself that I was going to write without judgment, without editing, and without missing a day until I could finish a first draft of something. And so that day was August 5th in 2013. Yeah, it was a true commitment, and just it was a focal point, and it was also a way that I was fostering my own healing. So for me, it was a complete win-win. As painful as this situation was, I was determined to find the gift within the wound. And I knew, there was absolutely not a shred of doubt in my mind. This is what I needed to do. And so 2 days after his memorial service, that's when I started. And I told absolutely nobody what I was doing. My best friend did not know what was going on. And I abstained from movies, television. I unplugged from radio. I didn't want to have any outside influences to affect what I was doing. And I wanted to be able to really write as purely as possible from this meditative place. And so every day after I would treat my acupuncture patients, and, you know, we were living on a farm, and so I had a lot of farm chores that needed to be done. And so after all of that was taken care of, I would sit down and meditate and then sit at the computer, and I would allow this story to unfold that I felt drawn to work on, which was my version of a hero's tale. And day by day, it just evolved. And it was March 17th in 2014 when I finally saved the first draft of the last chapter in Atlantis Writhing. And so it was,
oh my goodness.
yeah, so for 7 months I was basically every day. But the thing of it was so important to me to just take it day by day by day, not get ahead of myself. Most people, if they're trying to do something, this is what I find in the treatment room, and this is what people have shared with me over the years. A lot of times if people are trying to accomplish what's a big goal for them, they get overwhelmed by the enormity of the outcome. And they forget, it's just this one little step. All I have to do is show up right now, right here, and even if you can commit to 5 minutes, the brain accepts that as progress. And your internal cheerleader can say, yes, I showed up for 5 minutes. Tomorrow, I might show up for 6 minutes. And so that, to me, is how you build upon what you wanted to accomplish. You take each little step and you gain momentum. And that's what works.
Is it the intention? It's the intention that you're putting towards it.
Oh, absolutely. Everything in life, in my opinion, everything is governed by intention. And so the only two things that I have found that are true about this physical vessel, and a lot of New Age practitioners and gurus will talk about this, the only two things that are really, really true with a capital T, our bodies are governed by intention, awareness, and that's basically it. So if we have an awareness around our energy and we use our intention to direct that, then that's how we get from point A to point B and from point B to point C. And eventually we can go from alpha to omega.
I love that. That's beautiful. And so what is your book all about? You're talking about, I'm really enthralled. Like, I want to know, can you give us a little bit about what your book is then?
So Atlantis Writhing it's a work of visionary fiction. So it means basically that there's a background tale that has different teaching elements, different self-improvement, self-empowerment techniques that are kind of woven into the tale. So you can read it on any number of levels. If you want to read it, say, as an adventure tale, which it is, it's about a group of beings that come from another world that come to Atlantis at a time when that civilization is completely in chaos. And there's just a lot of discord going on between what I call lesser light influences and highest light, because at one point Atlantis was completely a spiritually uplifting place. And this lesser light influence got planted and kept growing. And so these beings came from another world to effect a change in that. So they came on a mission. And the interesting thing is, on their planet, they were imbued with superpowers. So each member of the team had these extraordinary powers. One paired group of beings, there were because each of these beings has a partner. So two of them, as an example, they embody the ability to just manifest abundance. And so they had to give up that power in order to come on this mission. So everybody that's on the mission had to give up their greatest power. They come to Atlantis and they find out that they've been betrayed. So what happens if you embark on a mission that you absolutely believe in? This is what your heart knows you need to do. But then you find out the mission is a fake, right? How do you deal with that? Oh, and also you've given up all of your powers, right? What are you left with? And so a lot of this journey talks about, well, what's really true here? What's really true is you still have your energy and your awareness, and you can still direct it with your intention. And that is more powerful than anything. And so these characters embody this level of what I feel is courage and absolute surrender to what highest light, or in other words, spirit, is telling them that they need to do. So,
oh my goodness. I can't wait to read this. This is going to be amazing.
Well, and the other aspect of it, because I just love stories, so I can't forget that early influences of Jane Eyre. Okay, so I love the hero's journey, but I love to have a great romance, and also because this was written during a time when I had lost my great romance, and so I was looking to how can I share with people that people need to have something like what I had, and I wanted people to just make sure that they chose the absolute best partner for themselves. And I wanted to kind of give them energetically a blueprint for what that is. And so I introduced a couple in the context of this story that, for me, embody what the ideal relationship is. And yes, there's physical attraction, but there's also this mutual support. There is an absolute honoring of self-empowerment so that each person is very strong and centered within themselves, and then they can bring that to the equation. So it's not like two half people that are coming together to complete each other. We've got two balanced, centered, grounded people that have come together, and they can share from a place of wholeness. And, throughout the story, one of the partners is not exactly remembering all of that. And so you can witness how someone can come from a place of not fully remembering who he or she is. And I wanted to include that journey as well because I feel like that's what most of us are on. Most of us have forgotten what it was like to be toddlers, right? And so I wanted to be able to show step by step, okay, this is when this character isn't feeling so secure, and so, everything is kind of wobbly, and there's a lot of anxiety. And I feel like there's a lot of that, we see that in our outer world today a lot. We do. Right? And so I wanted to incorporate that into the story and show people, hey, if you just take this little step, if you just show up, if you're Dory, in Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep doing it. And
yes. You know what? I think more romance books should be written like this because it is definitely what a great way. You know, it's almost like a self-improvement romance, and you're giving these readers so much within this book. I can't wait to get a copy of it. And how can our listeners get a copy of this book, Jean?
Well, so the book is available through Absolute Love Publishing, who's my publisher, but it's also widely available on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's on Apple's iBooks. And so you know, what I try to encourage people also, because I'm just a huge bookstore nerd, and I love, love, love independent bookstores. So I encourage people.
Me too.
If you've got a local bookstore and you frequent it, then I encourage people, hey, why not go to your local bookstore and have them order it for you? And I mean, that's what I loved so much about the book release party yesterday, because we were at Tall Tales in Atlanta, and it's this fabulous, fabulous independent bookstore. It's been there for years. They have a resident cat, Christopher Marlowe, and he showed up for the reading, and it was just awesome. We just had a great time, and I feel like, you know, that sense of community that a local independent bookstore can bring is it's priceless. It's just priceless.
Oh, that's awesome. And we'll be putting the title up on our social media, and I will be adding the links to your social media on ours too, and talking about your amazing publisher, because I absolutely love that publishing company too, because they're good friends of mine. And so we're going to be I'll be putting that on our social media. Jean, this was an amazing show. I loved it. I would love for you to come back on our show. I know that in this year, you've got some other things that you're focusing on, and you've got some new things that you're going to be doing for 2019. And if you want to mention them quickly here, just to kind of highlight our guests, our divas that are listening, and then perhaps later on this year we can have you back on.
Oh my gosh, Candace, I would love to come back. Oh, that would be fabulous. Well, I'm working on the sequel right now to Atlantis Writhing, but before that happens, in spring of 2019, I have a nonfiction chakra book that's going to be coming out through Absolute Love Publishing. It's going to be focusing on the lower leg chakras, which is a little bit of a different perspective. Most people aren't really even aware that there are lower leg chakras, and so we're coming out with a mini book on that. And I would love to come back and talk to you about that.
We would love to have that, because we haven't had anybody that's talked about that on our show, and I think it would be a great thing to share with our listeners.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, we'll keep you posted. That would just be fabulous.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much, Jean. Is there any last-minute things, any tips, tools, anything that you'd love to share with our listeners?
Just to keep in mind that if you can envision yourself like Dory in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Just keep showing up. If you have an internal editor or critic that you feel keeps coming to your consciousness too much and criticizing what you're doing, try to just get that editor to sit down for a little bit, unplug from it, and just focus on an immediate step right in front of you. Take that step for 2 minutes, if that's all you can do, and build from there. It's absolutely possible. If I can do this on a day-to-day basis, anybody can do this, and that's what I want to encourage people to do. Just live your dream. Just live it.
Oh, thank you so much. We had a great time chatting with you today, and we wish you all the best. As I said, I'm going to be posting about her amazing new book that's out on our social media today, so that all of our listeners can check it out. So thank you again, Jean. I had a great time.
Oh, Candace, I had a blast. Thank you so, so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much. And you know what? Thank you to all of you amazing listeners out there. We've been doing this show now going into our 9th season, and it's because of all of you that we continue to do this show. And you keep sending us your amazing friends and family to our show that are listening and that are now becoming guests on our show. So I want to say thank you to each of you, because It's because of you, as I said, we keep doing it. So thank you again. And for all of you that have just tuned in, you can also check out all of our recorded calls at divasthatcare.com. I hope that each and every one of you has an amazing day and that you make sure that you do something kind for somebody. Okay, until next time, we will talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
In a 2018 TD survey, 64% of Canadians said they don't have enough retirement savings. What about you? Let's work to help defy the numbers. Get started with a retirement goals review. That's what confidence feels like. TD, ready for you.